Hey guys, we are going to start momentarily. I appreciate everyone for their time and zipping in here and tuning in. We are just moments away from getting started on this special First Alert live conversation about the risk of severe storms in Alabama tonight. Hey, so we are multicasting tonight to a live audience on the WSFA First Alert Weather app. Multicasting this on Facebook and YouTube as well. I'm Josh Johnson. As always, I appreciate you visiting with us this evening. We have much to discuss. Let's go straight into the maps here. We will begin with a look at radar. This is a long line of storms now that runs from east central Mississippi back into coastal and southeastern Louisiana. This line is moving eastward pretty quickly here, almost due east. Within that line, there are multiple severe thunderstorm warnings already ongoing. And that's really the main concern within this is damaging wind gusts. Up and down this line, you don't really see a lot of kinks in the line where there's rotation. There are a few, though, namely this one down here. We actually have an active tornado warning on the western side of Lake Pontchartrain right now. That is just going to kind of keep moving towards the northeast here. So family or friends down celebrating Mardi Gras, that line of storms, then the tornado warned storm stays up here over the lake. This will head on towards the North Shore, but if you have family or friends in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, this line of storms back here will push on into the Crescent City pretty soon. So thunderstorms, nasty weather, heavy rain, gusty wind, right on Fat Tuesday. Talk about bad timing. Our friends in New Orleans, no doubt, not necessarily loving that. So, whole set of circumstances there. So, that's radar there on the on this side of the screen. We'll kind of multi-screen this. By the way, if you're watching this on a mobile device, if you'll turn it sideways, if you can, it depends on the platform, right? You'll get a bigger picture and be able to see a little more. And I'll be sure to alternate back and forth between these sources, kind of taking them full screen here. But so damaging wind, the main concern in this scenario. There are, however, other problems involved with this. There you see the line of storms moving out of Mississippi into Alabama. That's going to keep pushing east. Damaging wind over the course of the next few hours is what our chief concern is within this whole thing. So let's do this. I want to walk you through it hour by hour. We'll zip back to the camera here. So you'll notice 7 o'clock Tuesday evening, you've got this big line of storms in West Alabama. That's tonight. That's about an hour and a half from now. So it arrives, it's already raining out there, but the main core of damaging wind threat is still a little west of Meridian, Mississippi. By 7, it moves into West Alabama. 8, 9, 10, it moves very rapidly eastward. So by 8 to 9, this is into Lowndes and Autauga and Chilton counties. Then from there, it keeps pushing east. Montgomery, Macon, Tallapoosa, Crenshaw, Covington, Butler. From there, it keeps going east too. This is 1 a.m. You'll notice by now it's actually east of Opelika. So the risk of severe weather comes to a pretty quick end in the central counties. We'll do the Wiregrass Waltz down in southeast Alabama. Those lines of storms tend to last longer down there. It's just part of it. But even that, by 3 o'clock, this is all gone. Now, some of you are not map people. For those of you who are not map people, we want to give you good information as well. So we've broken this out just in terms of county names, right? So those are a little difficult to see. So what we may do here too, as I'm doing this, we may just on the fly see if we can snag that graphic and make it full screen for you. I know that would probably make this a lot easier. I'll read them aloud too. That'll help also in this whole mess, this whole mix. But storms on the way, no doubt about that. The timing on this, see, if you'll just give me a moment here, we're going to get this right where you want it to be. And I'll be able to have this for you full screen. So this is the morning graphic, but honestly, we had a really good forecast this morning. Looking at the newest data, I really haven't had to change anything. So this is the timing. For those of you asking about your specific city, town, community, there's a risk of damaging wind, power outages, and isolated tornadoes statewide tonight. The highest risk of tornadoes is in the southwestern part of the state, but there's a risk everywhere. So the preparation plan doesn't change very much. Here are the timing. Here's the timing on all of this. So Autauga 8 to midnight. Barber 11 to 3. Bullock 10 to 2. Butler 8 to midnight. So there you see them there. And now that it's full screen, I don't think anything's covered up here. This should be pretty straightforward, pretty easy to see. Is there a possibility we see any tornadoes? Yes, there is. It's isolated, but there could definitely be a tornado or two in the mix in this whole scenario. So there you go. Reading through the comments now, that can be a little distracting, honestly. The other thing we should talk about in this whole thing is the Storm Prediction Center has told us that they are likely going to issue a tornado watch pretty soon. That would include much of our area. We suspect that watch will happen shortly. So that was their latest update. They just issued a new mesoscale discussion, and I'll show that to those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube. We can take this full screen. If you're watching on the app, we don't really have that technology in place yet, but there it is right there. We have sirens in here that alert us to these things, so that new tornado watch just came out, would be my suspicion on what that is. But this is a mesoscale discussion from the Storm Prediction Center that's part of NOAA. Suggesting the greatest short-term severe threat is in southwest Alabama and southeast Mississippi. If this sounds familiar to you, it's because that is precisely what we've been sort of advertising really since Sunday with this system, that the greatest severe weather risk was in southwest Alabama. So that this is not a surprise to anyone that they've filled that in the way that they have. So the latest update to just in, they're getting ready to issue, they've just issued that tornado watch. I'll have a list of counties for you any moment now, because the way these watches happen, they pop out, and it takes a minute or two for that to sort of materialize on the screens and everywhere that we show data like that. So we will keep an eye out for the details, if you will, on that tornado watch. But it was just issued moments ago, and we'll get some counties in here for you momentarily. We'll go through the entire thing and just see that tornado watch coming out just minutes ago. So not a surprise. That's all sort of expected, right? We gave you a good heads up that there would be a tornado watch issued, and sure enough, here it is. We've got that tornado watch in effect for a huge chunk of South and Central Alabama. So let me show you this. For those of you watching, we'll do this on the big screen behind me here in the Vance Law Firm Storm Track Zone. So threat levels. We think the tornado risk is a 1 out of 5. 1's the lowest, 5's the highest. The maximum, the higher end of that threat would be in southwest Alabama. Damaging wind would be a high-end level 2 risk. Again, that maximizes in southwest Alabama. Why southwest Alabama, you ask? Well, let me show you why. Let me go and dive into the data here. So we're able to track a number called the dew point. The dew point is a measure of how muggy the air is. Think of it as like an octane rating for fuel, right? Storms rely on muggy air to form. And you'll notice here, it is as clear as a bell. Areas of green, that's where that dew point number is up in the 60s. Notice for most of central, east, and southeast Alabama, that number is in the 50s. So you've got this sort of moisture axis right here, right? The air right here is a lot more supportive of severe thunderstorms, yes, but especially tornadoes. The air is a lot more supportive of tornadoes anywhere on this map where you see green. So that would be down again into those southwestern counties of the state. We're talking Wilcox, Clark, Choctaw, Washington, Mobile, Baldwin, Escambia, Monroe, Conecuh, Covington, southern Marengo County. This is the area with the maximum risk of a tornado within the next couple of hours. Now, remember, when I say maximum risk, that doesn't mean that there is no risk anywhere else, right? This is where the threat is highest, right down in southwest Alabama. But the issue is this area of green, this little moisture axis here, it's moving, right? So this is trying to push more towards the northeast. The good thing for us here is the storms are moving very quickly. So thank goodness this is not happening 6 hours, 12 hours later. right? Because if we had a little more time and you could get this really muggy air over the Gulf to come farther north, we would be having an entirely different conversation, and we would be using words like tornado outbreak, which, by the way, we do not use those words loosely at all, just so you know. So when we say tornado outbreak, it's because we think there is a significant chance of that. We don't think that this is not a tornado outbreak. We have not used those words to describe this really at any point. So there you go. By the way, the sound is fixed on the weather app. That was, we always keep that mic pot up, but lately, this morning, I don't know when, somebody turned it down. So it's up now, so you can hear everything. If you're watching us on the app, welcome to the world of volume. We are glad to have you. Sorry for the technical problem. I am the meteorologist, engineer, camera operator, technical director, and sound guy for these. So just in case you're wondering, like, this is kind of these live conversations, this is a one-man band, if you will. So I hope you leave a little room for grace for me in your heart there, because this is a lot to balance and a lot to juggle, doing all of this at the same time. But thankfully, the app sound is back up, so you're good there. So that's the deal here. There's the new tornado watch is out. It includes many counties in our area. It includes most counties in our area. It goes as far east as Covington. So we'll get that. That's up on your TV screen right now. If you live in central Alabama, turn on WSFA, and we actually have the tornado watch up streaming live right now. And then I will have it momentarily. They always take a little while to get that list of counties out, but thankfully, here it is. So you'll see this if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube. I can show you the tornado watch. This is the kind of original image on that. And look, this is hard to read. I understand that. But so what I'll do is just go county by county and verbally tell you. The tornado watch includes Sumter County. Let's see if we can they don't have the list out yet. That's wild. It includes Sumter, Greene, Hale, Perry, Chilton, Elmore, Autauga, Dallas, Perry, Marengo, Washington, Clark, Wilcox, Monroe, Escambia, Mobile, Baldwin, Covington, Butler, Crenshaw, Lowndes, Montgomery. All of the counties I just named are in that tornado watch that was just issued by the Storm Prediction Center moments ago. That watch runs, by the way, until 1 o'clock this morning. Understand there will probably be a subsequent watch that is issued to the east of the existing watch, right? So this new watch that you see here, if you're streaming this live on YouTube and Facebook, this will likely get extended farther east to include more of southeast and east central Alabama late tonight. Some of that pending what happens with the storms as they come on through here. So that's where we are right now. The storms are not in Alabama yet. The main concern when they arrive is damaging straight-line wind gusts, but there is an isolated tornado threat that comes along for the ride here. If you're into numbers, on a scale of 1 to 5, the risk of damaging winds is kind of a high 2. Call it like a 2.5 plus, right? Not quite 3, but it's up there. The risk of tornadoes is around a 1 for most of our area. You can make the argument that the risk of tornadoes might be closer to 2 down here in the far southwestern corner of the state. Mobile, Baldwin, Choctaw, Washington, Clark, Escambia, Conecuh, Monroe counties. Probably a level 2 risk for tornadoes for you, level 1 everywhere else. The limiting factor is the lower dew point air. That means just less muggy air. You've probably felt it and didn't even realize what you were feeling today. I heard from a couple of people that said, Josh, I walked outside today and it just doesn't feel like storms. It's really warm, but it doesn't feel like storms. That's sort of your own intuition giving you some really good input there. Stormy days tend to feel a little more humid, a little more muggy than what it feels like in most of our area. Not all of it, but in most of our area, the humidity level is still relatively low in all of this. So, tornado watch now in effect for a big chunk of essentially the southern half of the state minus the eastern counties. So if you go from Montgomery to Opp and points west from there, right? Clanton, Selma, Marion, Demopolis, Prattville, Millbrook, Wetumpka, Greenville, Lounsboro, all in this tornado watch. Remember, a watch just means we're watching out. A warning means it's time to take action. A watch means it's time to pay attention. You need to pay attention to the weather. So that's the phase we're in right now, is that we are very much in the pay attention weather. Pay attention to it. There's the list of counties, by the way. Autauga, Chilton, Conecuh, Dallas, Greene, Marengo, Montgomery, Washington, Baldwin, Choctaw, Covington, Elmore, Hill, Mobile, Perry, Wilcox, Butler, Clark, Crenshaw, Escambia, Lowndes, Monroe, and Sumter counties, all in that. For our Florida viewers, Escambia, Okaloosa, and Santa Rosa County are included in that tornado watch. It runs until 1 o'clock in the morning. So that's where we are there. One last thing before I have to go. I've got to do WSFA 12 News coming up here at 6 o'clock. So we've got a few more minutes. I want to show you the hour by hour if you're watching this. Actually, we'll do it up here so everyone can see, right? So let's get to that. This is the graph computer that I'm about to show you. This is proprietary data that we have access to. So 7 o'clock tonight, storms in West Alabama. They've arrived by then, right? The tornado risk evolves before 7, though. So Marengo County, anywhere where you're already under a tornado watch, you need to be paying attention. That's 7. Here I paused it at 9 o'clock. The leading edge runs from Alex City to Montgomery to Greenville to Evergreen around 9 o'clock. It keeps moving east. By 11 o'clock, leading edge of the storms now runs from around Dadeville to Pike Road to Andalusia. Remember, these times are approximate, give or take an hour in either direction here, but by 1 in the morning, the line of storms runs from roughly Phoenix City to Eufaula to Geneva and Dothan. And then after 1 o'clock, by 2:30, this is all in Georgia. So it's a fairly quick process. This moves on across the state. The other thing we've got to drive home here is this. We already have a ton of wind ongoing right now, right? So even ahead of the storms, this has been an extremely blustery day. And as a result, believe it or not, in Alabama right now, we already have 17,500 people without electrical service. So the issue here is strong non-thunderstorm wind, right? That's wind that's occurring ahead of the storms, has already created a lot of power outages. And the hidden number here is kind of the ticking time bomb, if you will, from a power perspective here is that the wind today is going to move trees around, move their root systems around, weaken a couple of limbs here or there, right? That, even just on a small scale, when you're talking about millions and millions of trees, even if you're just doing that to 1% of those trees, that ends up being a pretty big number. So, unfortunately, the wind ahead of these storms is likely going to increase the amount of electrical interruptions, power outages that we see late tonight into tomorrow morning. So it's a double factor here, if you will. The wind ahead of the storms sort of creates some power outages, but it also weakens some tree limbs, moves some tree root structures around a little bit, those trees wiggling back and forth, and then the storms come through late tonight, and that means more power outages later, right? So I anticipate significant numbers of power outages across the state tonight as this storm system comes through. Mississippi in there at 25,000, Louisiana at 32,500. I do not think this will be like it was a couple of weeks ago where we had 200,000 without power, but I do think we will end up in the tens of thousands of people that lose electrical service tonight. So free advice: plug in your phone, plug in your mobile device, right? You want to charge those devices as best you can so that if your electrical service is interrupted, you're able to seamlessly switch over there. And assuming you have good cell service, you'll be able to keep in touch using the First Alert Weather app and wherever you're streaming all these products. So thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. A lot of questions. The questions, quite frankly, got a little bit distracting. So what I'm going to do, if you ask a question, I'm going to answer it by typing. I can do that during the 6 o'clock news. So I will go back and answer each question that was asked on Facebook and YouTube via a comment. So keep an eye on that. I'll tag you in it so you get a notification, right? But keep an eye on that. If I didn't get to your question, we just ran out of time on this. So also, another thing that will help answer questions that you have is streaming WSFA 12 News at 6. You can stream it on the WSFA Weather app, the News app, connected TV, smart TVs. If you have Amazon, Apple TV, Roku, search WSFA, download the app on your TV, and you can stream our 6 p.m. news. It's coming up in a matter of minutes here, and it will be chock full of great information. We are leading that newscast with weather, just so you know. So we'll have a good weather update there right off the top, which I need to go prepared to do. So, as always, I'm deeply appreciative of you and your time. We'll do an additional multicast live stream on the WSFA Weather app, YouTube, and Facebook tonight around 9:30 this evening. And then we'll do additional ones throughout the night. I'm here all night, by the way.